Sup, 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 sup. It's week 3 of LEPRECHAUN-A-THON.
Yes, and we will be covering Leprechaun in the Hood and Leprechaun Back to, that's the number 2, that's THA, Hood. And then we'll be chatting about the movies Slanted and Reminders of Him.
And for TV, we'll be discussing Monarch, Legacy of Monsters.
Yay, let's go. This is We Should Pod That. Episode 29.
We should watch that with Ashley and Sushi. Feel the vibes, it's a night so lush.
In Lep 5 and 6, we head to the Hood. The jokes are outdated, but kills are good.
From Afro pick stabbings to bong rips galore, it's messy and wild, but never a bore.
Raise the plate, the horror's on. Ashley and Sushi's Leprechaun-A-Thon. All coins drink and the pints go down. Bad wicked and the goblins back in town. Hey, Leprechaun-A-Thon. The guards of Gondor, it's gone from biggest lights to outer space that killer marches on. Leprechaun-A-Thon. Leprechaun-A-Thon.
Okay, friends, this is what we have been waiting for. It is time for Leprechaun in the Hood, aka Leprechaun 5, which might be one of the most notorious movies in the franchise because of its absolutely unhinged premise and the presence of rapper Ice-T. That's right. It's outrageous, it's wildly memorable, and honestly, infamous. But does it live up to the chaos? Let's get into it. All right, picture this, friends. We open in 1970s with Ice-T wearing a massive afro and a fur-lined coat, breaking into an abandoned building with a friend to dig up treasure. And immediately, they hit the jackpot. They see gold. They see a Colt 54. Yes, 54, not 45. This movie didn't want to get sued.
Yep.
And there's a mysterious flute. It obviously is going to be important to the plot, and a statue of the leprechaun wearing the famous amulet. Ice-T looks at it and says, "You midget Midas motherfucker," which it tells you exactly what kind of movie this is. Now, of course, his friend immediately messes everything up by removing the amulet. The leprechaun comes to life, and within seconds, the guy is stabbed in the neck with an afro pick, guys.
Guys, you never remove the amulet.
Never remove the amulet. So the leprechaun pops out, and oh my God.
No.
I think it's important at this moment to take a step back and let you know that this was written by a white man. Okay?
Actually, one of the writers was black. It was directed by a white man.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. But I don't think the lead writer was black. I think it was one of the secondary writers.
All right.
Or something like that. So just putting that out there. I did do some research on this.
Hell yeah. Well, anyway, that is important because the leprechaun, when he busts out, he says, my God, he says, free at last, free at last. Thank God Almighty, I'm free at last. What the hell? Yeah. So when we were watching it, Sushi and I fully paused the movie and just stared at each other. Like, I had already been nervous about stereotyping, and then the MLK quote hits, and it's like, what are we in for? Okay. So after that momentous beginning, the soundtrack kicks in with full blaxploitation music while Ice-T starts pulling weapons out of his afro. Oh my God.
Yeah.
And I'm just sitting there like, okay, I'm a white lady and I am profoundly uncomfortable. But that's what this movie does. Okay. So cut to the present day. Ice-T's rebranded himself, and he used to be a pimp. Now he is a hip hop mogul running his own record label. Now he doesn't want to own asses anymore.
Oh, right.
He's in the rap game. Meanwhile, we meet our main trio, Butch, Stray Bullet, and our main dude, Postmaster P. They're aspiring conscious rappers, and honestly, they're kind of a fun group. They're okay. Stray Bullet's a hothead with questionable ethics. Butch is a goofball, constantly like, why are we doing this, guys? And then Post is this overly serious rapper who says his name is Postman Pete because he delivers a positive message. Okay. All right, 90s conscious rap. But yeah, he's still down to do some shady stuff. Then they go into Ice-T's office, perform a very mid song, and get completely roasted by Ice-T. He basically laughs at them and calls them the Milli Vanilli of Compton. So naturally, they decide to take the rejection and just move on with their lives. I'm kidding. They decide to rob him. So, of course, it goes horribly wrong. They break in, they steal gold and the flute, and that fully brings the leprechaun back into play because, of course, they remove the amulet. And what do we say, Sush?
You don't mess with the amulet, man. You never take the amulet off.
That's right. Now, at first, they don't realize what they've done. They're just excited they finally got something over Ice-T, you know?
Yeah.
And then they figure out, ooh, the flute's magical, like wish-granting magical. It makes their music pretty appealing to people all of a sudden. So they start using it. Intolerable. Yeah. So they start using it to level up. You know, they want money, they want status, they want success. And for a minute, it kind of works. People start getting into them. But at the same time, the leprechaun is out here killing people, hunting down his gold. And the movie does what leprechaun movies do. And now here is an interesting twist. When they realize that Ice-T is out to get them, there's a stretch where they hide out at a local trans woman's house, which I did not expect from this movie. And yeah, it's got all the 90s stereotypes. They're not cool with it. I mean, they're somewhat cool with her, but yeah, it's pretty, oh boy, it's what you would expect.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. She's actually kind of one of the more likable people in the movie.
Yeah.
Even with the 90s handling of it. She's kind of cool. And for a moment, the film slows down a little bit, but that doesn't last because very quickly we're back in insane territory here. Oh my God. And the leprechaun is loving being in the hood, as you would say. So the leprechaun sets himself up with these zombie fly girls, as people start calling them, which are these like, well, I mean, that pretty much says it. And they lure women to him every night, which is exactly as weird and creepy as it sounds. Meanwhile, the guys keep using the flute, but every wish clearly has consequences. And then we get to one of the most ridiculous elements of the movie. Okay, 4-leaf clover, but weed. So, because in leprechaun lore, clovers are his kryptonite. We've seen this throughout the movies. So, of course, in this movie, they put it in the weed. And yes, he smokes it. And yes, he gets pretty fucked up, like both, high-wise and physically wise. So this leads to an absolutely wild infiltration plan. Oh, where this is so insane. The guys dress and drag from their trans host, and they get into the lair because the fly girls will only bring women. So they're like, ooh, let's Trojan horse this thing. And the plan itself is kind of loose at best, but involves seduction and drugging him with clover weed.
Oh, right.
And then, I can't believe this is real. The leprechaun tries to get a blowjob and passes out mid-attempt because he's too high.
Oh, my God.
Sushi, this movie is unbelievable.
Yeah.
Okay. From there, everything completely spirals as if it hasn't been spiraling already. Ice-T shows up because he's been hunting the flute and immediately shoots Butch, who's still in a dress, which is one of the most abrupt and chaotic deaths in the movie. I was kind of sad to see him go. He was like the movie's goofball, and I always loved the token goofball as a goofball myself. And Post fires back, shoots Ice-T multiple times, and everything's just collapsing on itself because right then the leprechaun wakes back up. He comes downstairs, no longer weakened, and then immediately starts using his magical powers to overpower Post. It looks like it's completely over. But then in a last minute move, Ice-T, who somehow is still alive, drags himself up and attacks the leprechaun with a chair. The leprechaun retaliates by literally blowing up his torso like a full explosion. But with the last bit of strength, Ice-T throws the amulet up in the air. And you're never going to guess. Then we cut later to, it feels almost like a post scene, but it's part of the movie. And Postmaster P is now a super successful, famous rapper. He's living the dream. Everything worked out. And you're like, okay, wait, did this movie just give us a happy ending? What's going on? But no, because he takes off his sunglasses and his eyes are glowing green, just like the zombie fly girl's eyes had been. Then we see the leprechaun in the crowd, alive and fine, now acting as his manager. And he literally says, I taught him everything he knows. And then the movie ends. And then there's another post-credit type scene where the leprechaun is rapping, Lep in the Hood, come to do no good, with a bunch of fly girls. And honestly, wow, what a journey. Sush, what'd you think of this one?
I don't know. Let's just go. Am I supposed to really believe this motherfucker got giant sized and blown up in space only to somehow end back up on Earth and be turned to stone once again by the red gemmed amulet from Leprechaun 2?
That's
and
a
then
great
dude
point.
is turned to stone again when the thing just gets thrown into the air and coincidentally lands around his neck. Like, are we serious here? Come the fuck
That's
on.
insane.
Oh, man. Even though Postmaster P is corny as fuck, I have to say that he's clever, at least, in coming up with the reasoning of his name being that he's here to deliver a positive message.
Love it.
But the character is so annoyingly back and forth with his indecision. Like, you'd never think a guy like him would rob someone, even if Mac Daddy, who is played by Ice-T, did insult him. But he does it anyway.
Oh, yeah, just because the plot needed him to.
Yeah, then shit goes wrong and he's all like, I can't believe we robbed and killed that guy. But his friend immediately talks him down and is like, well, it's over, so it's totally fine. And then Ice-T shows up literally right after that happens. So you're like, what's going on? Butch is apparently a virgin and dumb.
Oh, yes.
But then he knows science shit, like mixing household products together and spreading them on a heating pad to create a fire trap.
Oh my God, you're right.
Yeah, and while his whole shtick is initially kind of funny, for me it got old really quick.
Okay.
Stray Bullet or Stray.
Yeah.
I don't really have a problem with him, but he's a horrible rapper. How the fuck does a dude like him stay friends with someone like Postman P?
Postman P doesn't really have any ethics.
That's true. I guess initially I was like, why are they together? You know, they're like on completely different ends of the spectrum with the whole rap thing and probably life. But maybe that's not the case.
Mm-hmm.
The pimp to hip hop record executive pipeline is fucking crazy.
I mean, there's some truth there.
Yeah, but it's not unheard of. So even if I think it's a bit far-fetched, I guess I got to let that one slide. But Ice-T's character, Mac Daddy, is no doubt a stereotype.
Oh my God, it's rough.
Took some getting used to, but I think ultimately I'm okay with it on the basis that I know that Ice-T has always not given a fuck what people have said.
Yeah.
It really hasn't dialed back his personality for other people's sake for the over 2 decades that I've known of his work in music and later TV. But I think for some people, his character can be triggering, I guess.
Yeah.
Regardless, as a rap group, those guys are fucking awful.
Oh, they were really bad. Yeah.
One of the aspects I disliked the most about this movie was having to actually sit through the performances.
Oh, shit. Yeah.
They happen in this movie quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't into the whole flute thing they brought in for this movie, mostly because I can't recall any basis for it being a thing in any of the previous movies, nor do I recall it being mentioned on the CD-ROM from Leprechaun 3. Nor do they ever really explain the shit in this movie beyond it being some kind of mind control device. I mean, don't we have enough things between the gold collar from Leprechaun 2 to Leprechaun's ability to create hallucinations to where, we don't need to bring in yet another thing? But what was interesting about this, fun fact, I tried to research whether a flute was something mentioned in Leprechaun mythology, but I found that it really wasn't. What was interesting, though, there was a viral St. Patrick's Day news report from Brickton, Alabama from 2006 about a leprechaun flute. The shit is hilarious. Go look it up. It's literally a piece of hollow steel post that's been engraved and has some holes drilled into it. The shit doesn't even look weathered in any R.I.P. to my Asian brother, Chow.
Oh, Chow, that's right.
Yes, you lived on business and you died on business.
Damn.
The whole cross-dressing thing is so cartoonish. They can come up with anything else but to do that in order to make their way into the club. I don't know, man. It's just hard to get past how many stereotypes there are that they try to jam into the run. It's already short.
Yeah.
From all the stuff that I've already mentioned, stereotypical man-thirsty pre-op transsexuals, to the black church experience and the people you'd encounter there, to rich white record executive dudes trying to make money off of black artists. It's so extreme. It's like they were trying to win some sort of contest and offend as many people as possible.
Yeah.
By the time we really get to the whole zombie fly girls thing, I think I was already too checked out to find it amusing.
Yeah.
Also, of course, this is the movie where we find out that the leprechaun loves weed.
Yes.
Because nobody else smokes weed except for black people.
Oh, God. Oh, this movie.
Oh, man. I don't know. It's weird, but in the previous Leprechaun movies, the characters I hate are usually ones that I look most forward to getting killed. But in this movie, I literally don't care because these guys are kind of dumb. And yes, I know this is a Leprechaun movie, but the best ones I think have been the ones where it seems like there's at least some sort of reasonable connective tissue between the different elements and how things at least make sense in some context. But this one does some real reaching and is all sorts of all over the place, which would normally be fine. But it manages to repeat a lot of what makes it all over the place to the point where it gets so tiring, way past the point where you've already gotten the point. But then it continues to beat you over the head with way too many leprechaun-based rhymes and raps.
Yeah.
So for my pots of gold enjoyment rating, I could only give it a 3 out of 5.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And then my end of the rainbow favorite moment was actually just the whole Postmaster P and drag without the wig shooting Ice-T multiple times. And I'll tell you why, because it's kind of a metaphor for how much of a mess this movie was and how happy I was that it was almost over at that point, but still wasn't completely, even though I really wished it was. So it's like I envisioned myself being the one with the gun shooting the movie and trying to kill it, but it's like still doesn't want to end. But yeah, that's like.
Are you Postmaster P? Because you're delivering a positive message.
I get that's. I don't know if it's a positive
movie
message,
murder.
but maybe
Yeah.
Oh man, but that's
Okay, so for my pots of gold, I actually. Okay. I lived through the 90s. I remember what television was like.
Yeah.
I remember that the stereotypes were insane and thinking they were insane now. And they're insane looking back, you know? The MLK quote really, I felt uncomfortable in my guts, you know? I was just like,
yeah, it was wild.
What the hell? But then there's Ice-T, and I like Ice-T. There's some good kills. The smoking weed is interesting. I mean, I really went back and forth because
I like that they at least brought that into it finally.
Yes, and it does continue. He is.
Just a heads up, it's a lot better in the next one.
Yeah.
It plays a more central part to the plot, and also it's funnier. It's less about it's less a race thing, and it's more an interaction thing.
Yeah.
It's more about him getting high.
Yeah. It's so funny. As we've been discussing it, I've downgraded my pot of gold twice. I was originally going to give it a 3 just for some of the what the fuck moments. You know, I love a chaotic movie. This is a chaotic movie when it comes to, but I gave it a 2.
Yeah.
Because the stereotyping and stuff is incredibly uncomfortable.
And it's one thing
stuff too.
that it's in it, but they just keep trying to beat you over the head with it. It's like, okay, guys, we get it.
It's really obvious and really stupid. Yeah. But I did like seeing the Leprechaun rap. So what you going to do? And that is my rainbow moment. Lep in the Hood, out to do no good. And again, not because he's a good rapper, because God knows he isn't, but just for sort of the fever dream experience of seeing the Leprechaun rapping. So
yeah, I'm envisioning the director going up to Warwick and like telling him that he has to do this this rhyme.
That's also part of the joy of these movies is picturing that very nice man being the Leprechaun. It cracks me up all the time. Yeah, it's pretty wild.
Oh, also, I want to point out that Ice-T's full character name in this movie is Mac Daddy Onassass.
Okay, see, that's good. That's pretty good. So that was, Leprechaun in the Hood. It is classic, but it is maybe not the best.
Problematic.
Okay? Yeah. All right. Well, moving on, we got, the Leprechaun, I guess, left the hood at the end of the last one because the next movie is Leprechaun Back to the Hood.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, okay. And in this movie, it opens and immediately the production values are better, guys. It's great. You've got this animated old-timey storybook intro.
I love that shit.
It's pretty cool. Like, it looks good. It's giving fake mythology. It's giving effort. We learn an ancient king summoned a bunch of leprechauns to guard his gold, and that was like their job. And when he died, all the leprechauns just, I don't know where they went, but they left, except for one. And that's our guy, our particular leprechaun. And over time, he becomes completely corrupted and fully obsessed with gold. Not like mischievous anymore, just locked in this, as we've explored. This is mine. I will kill you. Yeah, it's the me gold of it all. So we got our beautiful intro and then cut to present day, 2000s day, LA, where we meet Father Jacob, who finds gold under what will become a youth center and decides to use it for something good, which is noble and also a terrible idea. Also, he is a drunk priest, and that adds a nice edge to the whole affair. So the leprechaun shows up, pretty much immediately. And this is where we learn the rules. Okay, we got a new one here. So we know that Clover's bad. We know that Amulet freezes. And now we learn that holy water also affects him. Okay. So holy water, stabbing, and prayer. These are the 3 things the priest does to the leprechaun. And combined, they summon these like demonic hands to rise from the ground and drag the leprechaun underground.
Damn.
It's honestly pretty awesome.
Yeah.
But then Jacob dies from his injuries. So really all he did was delay the problem here. Then 1 year later, we meet young Emily and Lisa, who I think are supposed to be in high school, but they look like they're 29. And they go to see a psychic woman named Esmeralda, who I loved immediately. She's glamorous, she's dramatic, and it's very clear to her that, hey, Emily, you're about to come into some money and you have to refuse it or something terrible is going to come with it. Like terrible. She sees a flash forward of the movie, so we know she means business. And of course, they'll absolutely not be doing that. They're going to take the money, guys. Otherwise, we don't have a movie.
Yeah.
So, cut to a barbecue at the abandoned youth center site.
Of course.
With Jamie, who is fully weed obsessed and very funny, and Rory, who is Emily's horrible ex-boyfriend / drug dealer. So Emily gets in a fight with Rory because guess what? He stole her money and gave it to some other girl. And then Emily, because her luck is just so bad this day, she falls through the floor into the ground. What was, I guess, the youth center? It's not entirely clear, but it's a nightmare. And she finds Father Jacob's hidden stash of gold, immediately forgets everything the psychic said. And they just dig in. They split the gold with zero hesitation. Girls go straight into makeover and spa day mode, which honestly, I respect because if it was me, well, number one, I would never take a leprechaun's gold.
Yeah, get better.
Yeah. And I would never get off his amulet, but I would maybe, treat myself a little bit.
Mhm.
Meanwhile, there's this running bit where the dealers are like, ain't no clovers in my bud. For some reason in this movie, it's normal to have 4-leaf clovers in weed. I don't understand. And anyway, Jamie is surrounded by garbage bags of weed once he starts cashing in that gold. Then the cops show up. He tries to, oh my God. I know this is a favorite part of yours, dude. He tries to defend himself by saying, oh, my mom is Italian. And it's oregano because she really likes it, which is probably the worst lie ever told. So he gets arrested. And the leprechaun is back, immediately starts reclaiming his gold coins in the most insane ways possible. At Jamie's party, he impales a guy with a bong and then goes, thanks for the smoke, which I loved. No elaborate pun,
great.
just clear and effective. Jamie gets arrested, as we said, which, feels right. And also, this is now the second movie where the leprechaun smokes weed. And I really appreciate that that's a new part of the lore, something else green into his character. And there's even a moment where he gets the munchies, eats butter, gets stuck in a fridge, and then hotboxes himself in it. So
it's so funny. Yeah.
It's pretty good. Then at the salon where Emily works, things get gross. So we get a shot of the leprechaun's nasty ass toenails while he's massaging a woman by walking on her. And then, of course, it turns out she's wearing gold. So she tries to fight back. Emily gets in there. She jams one of the buzzers in his eye. And then green blood goes everywhere. His eyeball literally pops out while it's stuck. And it's nasty. Anyway, around that same time, our girl Lisa gets killed at home. And it's actually pretty brutal. I was pretty bummed that she died because I'm like, hey, I know her. You just established the character. She's dead so soon. But it shifts the movie into, this is not fun anymore. So the group splits on what to do about this whole situation. So Emily and Jamie want to give the gold back, but Rory, being a selfish asshole, does not want to. And guess what? He steals it. But almost immediately, he realizes he's in over his head, comes back just in time to save Emily from the leprechaun. So, he gets a little redemption moment. But that doesn't fully redeem him, okay? Then the leprechaun goes to Rory's place where his other girlfriend has used one of the gold coins. She's gotten it smelted. That's kind of exciting. This is our first gold coin smelting in the series. It's smelted into a gold tooth. And boy, you're going to be able to guess right away what Leprechaun does. He rips it out of not her mouth. He rips her whole jaw out of her face to get it back, which is horrifying. And also, here's the thing. It raises the question, why does he keep his nasty old teeth? They're black and rotting. Why hasn't he already replaced them all with gold? That seems like it'd be the more practical thing to do. But, he's not a thinking ahead kind of guy. then we also get the cops involved, okay? And when one of them tries to kick the leprechaun, like he fully thinks he's Jean-Claude Van Damme, the leprechaun's like, wait a minute, I know what I'm going to do. And he just rips the dude's leg right so he can't physically kick him anymore. I mean, kind of genius. Not bad. Now the cop reacts, instead of falling over, he starts like hopping towards him, trying to grab his leg back. I don't know if he thought they were going to sew it on again or what, but yeah, he doesn't make it. Then later, the leprechaun tries to drive off in the cop car, but he can't because of his height. His legs won't reach the pedals.
Oh, yeah.
So, and being a thinker, he grabs the severed leg and uses it.
Oh my God.
Yeah, he uses it to drive. I mean, it's kind of genius. I love it. Then Rory's rival dealers show up and try to kill him, and the leprechaun wipes them all out. These guys are so confused. They did not know what they were walking into. At one point, they're just like machine gunning him. Like, it does nothing because, yeah, that's not going to work, dude. This is a leprechaun. Where have you been? But with no options left, they end up going back to my girl Esmeralda. Love her. That great, elaborate hair headpieces. Who drops a little more lore about how this leprechaun is different and more dangerous.
Oh.
So Rory takes the clovers that were literally hidden in the weed, because in this movie, clovers are in weed, and he cuts them up. And then he happens to just, by pure coincidence, have hollow point bullets in his gun. So puts the 4-leaf clovers inside the hollow. And then I liked this part. He melts a candle into it so the wax would stick them together. That's just practical, because otherwise they would have just fallen out of there. Okay, so we got our 4-leaf clover bullets, and he shoots the leprechaun and says a beautiful, beautiful line. Say hello to St. Patrick for me, bitch. Sorry, I couldn't do with the essence that his performance had, but you get the. So it actually works. The gun, it hits him, and there's all. It's very weird, guys. There's like these little like gold CG things showing up, which I don't know if that's supposed
like
to be
little halos or whatever. That's weird.
I couldn't tell if they're supposed to be tiny imaginary gold or like there's holes in him, but whatever. But even though it's working, his gun jams and he can't finish the job. And then Emily runs up and just hits the leprechaun with a car, which I love that. I love when you have a character just standing there talking and then a car comes out of nowhere. It's great.
Yeah.
So yeah, then the car happens to be a lowrider, my friends. So they try to crush him. They try to crush him by using the hydraulics in the lowrider. Oh my God.
Oh,
Then, Jamie gets some hits in.
Yeah.
Esmeralda has a magical showdown with him and loses. Everything's falling apart.
It's very Scarlet Witch coded.
Yes. I love it. And then Emily figures it out, finally. He only cares about the gold, dude.
Yeah.
So she uses it against him. She throws the coins into wet concrete to distract him. He's very sad. He's all like, me pretties.
Yeah.
And then she lures him into the basement, tosses the gold in the furnace, and knocks him in after it, which is not bad as a plan. But, of course, he's a leprechaun, dude. So he's not dead. Then we get a final rooftop fight. So Emily ends up hanging off the edge. The leprechaun is taunting her. Rory is out of bullets and still trying to hold him off. And then Emily lands the final move by smashing him with the chest of gold, sending him into the wet concrete where he sinks and gets trapped in it. And yeah, then the true tragedy, Emily and Rory get back together. I know you guys went to prom, but that doesn't mean you need to be with him forever. So yeah, they get through. Jamie survives and everyone kind of moves on. And it's, that's the movie, man. You got weird kills. You got, oh my God, I didn't even mention the bong kill. He shoves a bong in someone's guts.
I think you did. You mentioned that.
Did I? Okay, good.
Yeah.
You got the jaw ripping, the oregano, you got the lowrider physics, you got clover bullets. Were the racial stereotypes really rough? Yeah. At the beginning, yeah, but it was a lot better than the previous one. And I think what really makes this one better is the actors were good. Like,
yeah, it was semi-serious.
Yeah, I cared about them. Jamie, I recognized from being a guest star in a million TV episodes, network TV stuff, and he was in the Meg 1 and 2. So yeah, it's an interesting one. What do you think, Sush?
Oh my God, I've got so much to say about this. Just that it took us until the 6th movie to really establish that this leprechaun we've been dealing with throughout these movies has been a specific standout leprechaun.
Yes. He's not your average leprechaun.
Better late than never, I guess. Okay, so leprechauns are also vulnerable to holy water, and the whole pastor summoning demonic hands to drag Lep underground. That was wild too.
Yeah.
This series really tries to include the most wild random conversations. This one, there's a discussion about bikini waxing within the first 10 minutes of the movie.
Oh, that's right. True.
But we get both Laz Alonso, who most people will probably recognize as Mother's Milk from The Boys.
Yeah.
And Sticky Fingers from the rap group Onyx.
Oh, that's right.
The page turn and spiral transitions are hilarious. There's
my God,
serious PowerPoint presentation energy in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Almost 15 minutes into this movie, and I couldn't gauge how crazy it was going to be in relation to the other movies. Even getting a scene with a fortune teller. Of course, just as I took that note down, I was presented with a scene where Jamie gets high and has a full-on conversation with a dog. Marcos is wild as fuck, and while it doesn't seem like this movie is as weird as the last movie, I'm pretty sure he's the whitest character we've met across both movies. We finally get a fucking rainbow in this movie that actually has something to do with the plot.
True.
Emily literally stands at the end of the rainbow, which I'm pretty sure was on or at least near the hole that she falls through a short while later. Also, I don't get how they just built over this basement and whole ass tunnel underground that the pastor had. Yeah, it was literally just boarded over. So you'd think, at least for engineering purposes, they'd check underground before they laid the foundation for this place.
Yeah, man.
Like, it's literally just been a year since the events from the start of the movie. So I can't imagine that the basement has somehow been completely covered from being discovered if Emily can just fall through it.
Yeah, that shit is not up to code.
I don't get how Lep exactly gets free this time.
Yeah.
Like, I think sometime around when the gold is found and split among Emily, Lisa, Jamie, and Rory, it happens. But how? Lep was stopped by having holy water splashed on him. Then thought he could cast the spell to have him dragged underground by demonic hands, but I just don't get how gold specifically ties to his release time around. I mean, I know these movies are supposed to be ridiculous, given that in the previous movies, if Lep isn't free at the start of the main story, something like a 4-leaf clover, like the amulet has to be removed or get free. So I was at least expecting something like that for this movie, Jamie, the girls told you no bud, and you just garbage bags of weed.
You got all the bud.
Jesus Christ, man. I find it kind of amusing that in this movie, we kind of see Lep plotting before he actually takes action. Like, we see him just standing on a tree branch. Like a bird.
That was, again, one of my favorite moments because I just was picturing Warwick Davis up there.
Oh, damn. Yeah, that's true. I love how the prop gold is so poorly painted in this movie. It looks partially silver.
Yep.
Did we really need to wait until the 5th movie to make Lep enjoying weed a thing? Like, this sixth one, but did we really have to wait until the last one to do it? You really don't think anyone would have been smoking in Vegas or even in space?
I would expect Coke in Vegas.
You think people would bring it to space when you can't really do much?
Yeah.
Shit.
Edibles.
In this movie, dude has a full-on session with one of Jamie's party guests before, of course, stabbing the bong straight through the guy. Honestly, I think the franchise as a whole would have fared better if they had just had this reveal in an earlier movie, since that would have made it clear to everyone that they were also targeting stoner audiences with these movies, if it wasn't clear enough. Lep having the munchies was a scene I didn't realize I needed.
Oh, it's great.
But I'm incredibly happy to have experienced it. Also, how does dude just have a bong with him when he gets the fridge door closed on him? Is he using magic to stash his weed and paraphernalia now?
It's got to be weed magic.
Yeah. I also can't believe it took until the sixth movie for someone to smelt down Lep's gold. Having it reformed into gold crowns is definitely a great setup for Chanel getting her jaw yoinked out later in the movie. But yo, also, why the fuck did he clean all the meat off of her jump?
Yeah, that is baffling.
Did he literally just eat it or what? That shit was crazy.
It was corn cob in it. Just
Oh my god. It wasn't even on the same, like, the tooth was in her upper row of teeth.
It's so stupid.
Pass this. Do massage therapists really refer to massaging their clients as, quote, rubbing someone down? Speaking of this movie. Also, these are the most brightly lit massage rooms I've ever seen.
Not relaxing. Not at all.
Oh my God. Some lady in the massage parlor farted and then Lip decides to still rub her down.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Lip
weird
is
because,
nasty.
yeah, it's weird because he seems to react strongly in a negative way to the fart initially. But then really gives the lady a great massage. I mean, she's loving that shit up until the moment that she realizes it isn't Emily.
Honestly, sometimes when I'm getting a massage, I have gotten ones where they walk on you.
Yeah.
And if I get one again, I'm just going to picture Leprechaun walking on
Oh
me.
my God. I don't know if that's good or not. Probably not. We get a sort of tribute to The Shining when Lep busts through a bathroom door in this movie when he's chasing after Lisa. And damn, the way I think he killed her with the cordless phone was pretty brutal. Even if we didn't actually see the phone going into her, the fact that Lep stares her in the eyes while he's doing it is probably one of the few moments where he comes off as genuinely scary.
Yeah.
I think one of the best parts of this movie is that even though Lep does ultimately win every time, he really gets fucked in this movie.
Yeah, there's
Like,
a lot of women beating him.
Yeah, like he gets stabbed in the eye, hit with a baseball bat, gets straight up blasted with a sawed-off shotgun and everything.
Dragged to hell.
Oh my God. It's weird, but I think out of all the Leprechaun movies so far, this movie strangely takes itself more seriously than any of the other ones. There's definitely some seriousness. A lot of the acting in this movie, even though it's not consistent. But Laz Alonso and Tanji Miller definitely deliver a more serious performance compared to the rest of the cast. I love that we literally get a Mortal Kombat fatality move when Lep just pulls out Watson's heart.
Love it.
It's cool that we get another magic fight to follow up the one in Lep 3, but I don't know how convincing it really is given how much Lep has gotten his ass handed to him in this movie. This is probably the slowest ending out of all the movies so far.
Yeah.
So yeah, let me move on to Pots of Gold enjoyment rating. I gave it a 4.5 out of 5. Whoa! This is my favorite Leprechaun movie so far, and I honestly think the only way I could potentially see it being better were if a black person actually wrote the movie, so it were less stereotype dependent, or at least got a pass for the ridiculousness. But what's wild is I have a 3-way tie for End of the Rainbow favorite moment.
God.
First is Jamie lying to the cops about the garbage bag of weed that they found.
Yes.
Quote, "My mom's Italian. She like a lot of oregano with her lasagna."
Oh my God.
The second one is Lep fighting the white cop that weirdly does a bunch of karate kicks on him. A whole setup with the camera panning down to see the blood dripping and then panning over to Lep, who has torn the dude's leg clean off. That was amazing. And then my last one for the tie. I never thought I would see a lowrider scene like the one we got in this movie with Lep hanging onto the undercarriage while it bounces. But fuck, is that so good?
It's amazing. Yeah.
Oh, man.
So many good moments. So for my pots of gold, I gave it a 4, you know? I think it's pretty dang good. Like the acting is pretty solid. So even though it's insane, you care about the characters a bit more. So that was kind of cool. And for my end of the rainbow moment, I love all the ones you picked. There's so many good moments. The Munchies moment, great. But I got to go with the whole cop encounter.
Yeah.
From the leg getting ripped off, from him going to get the leg back, to the leg finally being used as some sort of a flesh prosthesis.
The leg saga.
Yeah, I loved it. So, yeah, man, that was back number 2, The Hood. It was a good one. I'm a little nervous about next week's because the next one is supposed to be, we've got one good one to look forward to and one that we think might be a little suspicious. So we shall see.
Okay.
Okay, so on to our non-Leprechaun movies for the week. Our first one is Slanted. Slanted is a satirical body horror comedy from Amy Wong that takes a pretty wild premise and uses it to go straight at identity and beauty standards in a way that's honestly kind of unsettling in a good way. It follows Joan Huang, played by Shirley Chen, a Chinese-American high school senior who is desperate to fit in and win prom queen. So instead of doing normal teen social climbing, she ends up signing up for this shady experimental procedure that literally changes how the world perceives her as white, which is already, well, okay, we're really going there. When I say perceive, I mean they literally completely change her face. She is a white woman now. And after the transformation, the role shifts from Shirley Chen to McKenna Grace, with Vivian Wu and Fang Du playing her parents. And what starts as a heightened high school story quickly spirals into something much stranger as the experiment starts to unravel and Joan realizes that trying to rewrite who you are on the outside comes with some pretty disturbing consequences. So I know we were really interested in this movie based on the trailer, but other than that, I didn't really know a lot about the people making it. I was just hoping it would be good, but a little worried that it could be a little campy. But I think this movie did a really awesome job at threading the needle of satire, but also talking about a very real, powerful, emotional experience, and also getting into family dynamics. What surprised me also was the acting. I think they did a great job of both doing some heightened work that sort of went with this more stylized, surfacey look of it. But the performances were awesome. In particular, I think the parents were standouts. They do some really, really beautiful, subtle work that, oh my God, you really feel for them. And I think that also McKenna Grace did a really good job once she came in as the whitened version of her character. She fit into the family dynamic in a way that felt really natural. I think from seeing the trailer, I was nervous that that character would come in, and if the acting isn't just right, the premise isn't going to work. But I think she did an awesome job. Also, getting into the sort of more heightened aspects of the movie, I loved the look of it. It's very over the top with the design and the set. There were multiple times when our audience laughed at just business signs in the background, like prayers and ammo. There were all of these really absurdly heightened white American ads in the background that were a little depressing, but also a little bit funny. And I thought it looked great. And I just, honestly, I really loved it. And it was just sort of heartbreaking, but also funny at the same time. I mean, it really did a great job of balancing a lot of different aspects. So I'd love to hear, what'd you think, Sush?
Well, I didn't recognize the filmmaker or any of the cast aside from McKenna Grace going into this movie. However, looking into things, I found out that Amy Wong was one of the creators and writers of The Brother Sun.
Oh, I loved that.
Which I've unfortunately not found time to get around to. And I also found out that I've seen Shirley Chen previously in Vivian Wong's movie Dee Dee.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, and Quiz Lady too, where she played the younger version of Sandra Oh's character, Jenny.
Oh, she's been in some great stuff.
I think the trailer did a great job at grabbing my attention, especially as an Asian American who moved from a fairly diverse suburb to a nearly all-white suburb around the age of 10 and dealt with similar issues growing up. The difference for me was that I definitely didn't feel like I wanted to be white when I dealt with those issues. And more so, I just remember being really angry and disappointed that racism still very much existed when, at least in my experience in school growing up until then, in my old neighborhood, it seemed to be a thing of the past.
Yeah.
Regardless, I did empathize with Joan and what she had to deal with. And since The Substance was one of my favorite recent films, I figured I'd also enjoy this movie for elements that I felt were similar to that. I didn't really see a lot of promotional content aside from the trailer ahead of seeing the movie. However, I do want to mention that since the theatrical release, I did see Bleecker Street posted a hilarious motion image parody of the Animorphs cover.
Oh, right.
With Joanne morphing into Joe. So that was pretty hilarious. But yeah, getting into the movie, seeing it, I really enjoyed the writing in the movie. Even though it's an obvious exaggeration as far as the lengths some people go to be accepted as a person of color. However, I do want to mention for anyone who doesn't know that while the specific ethnic modification surgery in this movie doesn't yet exist, probably, people of color have been doing things for centuries to either adhere to Western beauty standards or to literally look like white people, from cosmetics and personal care products that bleach or lighten skin tone to surgeries like eyelid fold surgery. So even if there isn't something exactly like this in the real world, I think this movie is timely. Since the past decade or so, I feel like there's been more examples of plastic surgery that could probably be considered ethnic modification surgery.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, like both people of color want to look more Western or even white, as well as white people wanting to look more ethnic.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
As far as cast goes, I think this is another fun McKenna Grace appearance in a horror movie. I honestly don't know if casting directors just look for her to be in these movies because she does fit the usual look of a young blonde actress that typically appears as an expected victim of an antagonist. While I do think she does a pretty good job in those roles, I really feel like she did a great job as Joe Hunt, the post version of Joan Huang. I really did closely watch the interactions with her and her parents following the surgery, and I think she did a great job speaking Mandarin and seemed convincing as the whiteified version of Joan. I also think Shirley Chen did a great job playing Joan and expressing the emotions that come with trying to connect with her white classmates. Having been someone who dealt with similar challenges, even though I didn't agree with the action she took to address it, I could definitely empathize with her throughout the difficult moments she worked through. I love Vivian Wu as Joan's mom, Sophia, and especially Fang Du as Roger, Joan's dad. I think Vivian did a great job playing an immigrant mother who doesn't seem to understand the hardships Joan's dealing with. But I'm more impressed and slightly envious of Fang playing Roger, since the movie establishes they have a close connection very early on in the movie. Beyond them, I also think that, and I'm going to butcher this name probably, Maitreyi Ramakrishnan as Brenda.
Oh, she was great.
Best friend. And Amelie Zilber, who played antagonist Olivia Hammond, both did a great job. Though I would have liked to see more scenes with Brenda and Joan, or Joe, and more backstory regarding Olivia. I really like the set design, especially for the fun businesses they show
Yes.
around that seemed hyper American, though I'm sure some people will automatically associate them with right wing Americans. I think one story was named Prayers and Ammo, which I thought was pretty funny. In finding out that the filmmaker was actually Chinese Australian and close friends who grew up or currently live in rural areas, it kind of made sense that this wasn't specifically pointed out as right wing by anyone in the movie.
Yeah.
Do you think this is more an outsider's view on an exaggerated version of America? I mean, after all, I do have more than a handful of left-leaning friends that both believe in gun control and own firearms. So I honestly don't think that gun ownership in itself is really a definite indicator of political affiliation across this country. I think the only criticism I had regarding design was maybe with the horror makeup. I think that the look been better given how recent body horror movies seem to at least look more convincing. How is considered the budget, and even though it took me quite a while to search for and finally find something about it, mentioning it costing $9 million, which I can't say for sure is accurate. I lower budget than compared to the other recent films that I think are similar to this one. I think Substance was a little more than that, maybe. Anyway, I'm a little conflicted on the mood of the movie. While I did enjoy the horror comedy angle, and I understand that sometimes when it comes to topics like race, approaching it with some humor and sarcasm can make the messaging more palatable. I almost feel like this movie could have been more effective if they leaned heavier into the horror side of things. I mostly felt this way because I felt the majority of the humor in this movie is tied to exaggerated attributes of either the business in town or the clients and employees at Ethos, the medical center where they perform the race-changing surgery. But pretty much any of the moments that Joan, her family, or anyone visibly ethnic, I have to make that distinction because of the surgery.
Right. Physically.
Deal with seem to be of a serious tone. So aside from giving us a break from a lot of the plot that may be otherwise emotionally heavy, I don't know if it really serves a purpose in the plot itself. However, I do feel like I already had a similar impression from seeing the trailer, so I don't believe that the movie was that dramatically different compared to what I expected. Going into my rating, I give it a 4 for enjoyment and a 3.5 for quality. Overall, I had a great experience with this movie, especially given my personal experiences that paralleled the movie. I think the most enjoyable aspect of it for me was the overall story of Joan trying to deal with the challenges of growing up and connecting with classmates in a predominantly white neighborhood due to my personal connection. However, I also enjoyed most of the elements that contributed to this being a horror comedy movie, since they were all done in a way where I could feel like there was some real thought put into like how they presented the horror elements, some real cleverness in coming up with the comedic elements. As far as quality goes, I thought overall it was good, especially the budget figure I found of $9 million. If it was anywhere near accurate. For comparison, The Substance was reported to have a budget of approximately $17.5 million. To me, that made sense relationally, since I felt like that similar body horror aspects between the two movies were done significantly better in The Substance. Still, I did give this movie a point over the 2.5 middle rating because I still think it did a great job presenting Joan's challenges genuinely, especially the post-op scenes where McKenna Grace takes over the role of Joan or Joe and interacts with her family and others. There's definitely some nuance in how young Asian Americans interface with their parents that I'm personally aware of that's different than white Americans. So I give props to McKenna for doing a great job in ensuring they were carried over from Joan to Joe without losing any authenticity. As far as recommendations go, the only one I really have that's related to this is Dee Dee. If you're looking for something to watch that's a non-horror Asian American coming of age film, since Shirley Chen is also in that movie playing the sister of the titular character.
Yeah, it's such a great movie. So for my enjoyment, I gave it a 4. And I was just so impressed with how our whole crowd, it was a very vocal crowd, you know?
Yeah.
And you would be really laughing so hard. And sometimes it would be about something in the background. And it would be like a wave throughout the audience when you're like, oh, that person just saw the sign.
Yeah.
Sometimes it would be an outrageous stereotype.
Mm-hmm.
But then, I mean, I cried watching it. I thought it was so emotionally true. And it sort of gets into some of the absurdity of how mainstream America perceives itself versus how it is.
Mm-hmm.
And it just is a great, I would recommend just about everyone see this movie. I think it's really amazing. For quality, I also gave it a 4. I think I would agree with you that this affects some of
Mm-hmm.
the look at the end. I thought, well, you can see the budget there.
Yeah.
And that's all it is. It's not something where the vision of it is wrong or
Mhm.
like they didn't have the skill. It's just they didn't have the budget, I think, to
Yeah.
make it look as good as some of the other movies. But yeah, it's weirdly a very good time for how much of a gut punch it can be at
Yeah.
times. So definitely recommend people check it out.
Cool.
Our next movie is very different. Reminders of Him, which we kept cracking up about because one of our leads here, Tyreek Withers, was in the movie Him earlier. So
I have a note about that later.
yeah, it cracked me up. But this is a romantic drama based on a bestseller from Colleen Hoover. Now, Hoover is somewhat notorious now, I think, because of her relation to the whole Blake Lively, Justin Baldoni thing.
Oh,
But
yeah.
I think she was popular on Book Talk for stuff.
Yeah.
And she's had several movies come out recently made from her books. This one stars Micah Monroe, who you might know from It Follows and Longlegs, as Kenna Rowan. The supporting cast includes Tyreek Withers, who's fantastic as the male love interest. Then we've got Rudy Penko, Lauren Graham, Bradley Whitford. And the story follows Kenna, a young woman who returns to her Wyoming hometown after serving time in prison for a car accident that killed her boyfriend. And this is in the trailer, so you're good, not a spoiler. The main goal is to rebuild her life and somehow reconnect with the daughter she's never really had a chance to know. But the people raising the child understandably don't want her around her because they think
Yeah.
she killed their son or is responsible for his death. But the one person who's willing to give her a chance is Ledger, who is her late boyfriend's best friend. Yes, the name is Ledger, which is a wild choice. This is something you'll notice in a lot of Colleen Hoover properties. The
That's some
names
wild names.
are insane. Then from there, the movie leans into themes of grief, forgiveness, redemption, second chances, all that good stuff, while Kenna tries to prove she deserves a place in her daughter's life. Okay. So I have to admit that I went into this thinking it was going to be corny and silly, like a real
We both did.
goofy formulaic popcorn movie.
Mm.
It's based on Colleen Hoover books. Those can be a little melodramatic. And honestly, at the beginning, there were a couple of times where we kind of looked at each other and rolled our eyes a little bit. You know, the premise is shaky. Like,
Yeah.
there are definitely moments where you're thinking, this seems legally questionable. You think our lead would have a better plan than just to show up at her kid's house unannounced and expect to become her mother. But what surprised me is that once the movie settles in, it actually works because the characters feel pretty real to me. I think one real highlight was Kenna's neighbor, Diana. She has Down syndrome. And at first, I was really nervous that the movie was going to use her as a cheap inspirational character. But they didn't. She's actually sarcastic and funny and well written. And the relationship that Kenna and Diana build feels like this really sweet big sister, little sister thing. Ended up being kind of one of the most believable parts of the movie and one that I really liked. The humor in general helps a lot. Everybody has like a little bit of sarcasm, which makes the characters feel more human.
Yeah.
Also really helps when they're reacting to things in the plot that are a little out there. Then the acting carries the movie a lot more than I expected. Characters are likable enough that you start to connect with them. And yeah, I'll admit I got a little misty at a couple points. And the kid in the movie, oh my God, the daughter is really cute, really natural. And that makes a difference too. She felt like a normal kid. I also liked how they handled the central relationship with Ledger, which again, why is his name Ledger? Where did you come up with that? Was she just like, what do I name him? What do I name him? She's at her accountant's office. Oh, Ledger. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
But their chemistry really worked. And I think the movie does a smart job by sort of getting some of the big conflicts out in the open early on, which instead of dragging things out, lets you get to know the characters a lot more and see how they react to each other and on their own to the conflicts that arise.
For sure.
I also appreciate that they don't do the thing where they turn characters into villains. There's people in the movie that I think in a lesser movie would be just a stereotype. But in this one, you grow to understand why they feel the way they do. And because of that, it allows the main characters to come to a resolution with them, which is something you can't do if you just paint a character as a out and out villain. But yeah, honestly, I was really surprised. I thought this was going to be something I would laugh about, have a little bit of fun with, it going with like conventional plot lines. But yeah, I think it did a good job. The performances were good. Characters feel human. The movie has more emotional nuance than I expected. And I was pretty satisfied with it. What'd you think, Sush?
Well, before seeing the movie, I'd already seen posters for this movie mentioning it was another Colleen Hoover adaptation, of which I think we've seen maybe one or two. I haven't seen anything from director Vanessa Caswell, but I have seen Micah Monroe and Longlegs and Independence Day Resurgence.
Oh.
And I've definitely seen Tyreek Withers in a few horror movies like him and the most recent I Know What You Did Last Summer movie. I've seen the trailer. I already had expectations that this would be as bad as the last Colleen Hoover adaptation we saw, Regretting You. Like with that movie, it at least seemed like another movie where its most positive aspects would likely be the acting ability of the cast, since I thought the plot as presented in the trailer just seemed stupid. I will say that while I didn't actually sit and watch it, I did come across a few pre-release interviews with the cast, which I feel like sometimes, but not always, means the movie isn't expected to do as well and needs to lean on its otherwise likable leads. Whether or not that ended up being the case, I guess I'll get into coming up. Getting into the movie, after seeing it, I did a quick search and found that there are some slight differences between this film and the book it's based on.
Oh, interesting.
But aside from some minor timeline changes and maybe having less emotional intensity, everything else is pretty much the same. I can't say if these elements were that way due to co-writer Lauren Levine's involvement or director Vanessa Caswell, but I will say that ultimately I think that's what made the movie somewhat enjoyable. This may be untrue, but the impression that the previous Colleen Hoover adaptations have given me, at least, is that her books might usually be stories that are based on exaggerated fantasies dealing with some kind of forbidden love centered on some ridiculous, completely coincidental sequence of events.
Yeah.
That stands true for what I felt was maybe the first quarter or third of the movie. Feel a bit rushed, but after that, I felt like the movie kind of acknowledged the absurdity of Colleen Hoover stories. But rather than making a spectacle of trying to convince you how crazy they aren't, it decides to focus on making the story as genuine as possible by delivering above and beyond for the other aspects of the movie. I hate the stupid names that some of these characters have, but man, did the cast do a great job. Micah Monroe playing Kenna Rowan, a character fighting to reconnect with her daughter while also trying to deal with the trauma over the death of the love of her life by boning his best friend, I guess.
Yeah, come on. But he's Tyreek Withers and he seems nice.
Yeah. Tyreek Withers is great as Ledger Ward. I think he's been likable in most of the movies I've seen him in, even when he's not always playing a character that's 100% a protagonist. I think the romance that progresses between the two of them, outside of maybe the questionable decision making, is really believable and genuine and doesn't seem too over the top, at least most of the time. I think Lauren Graham and Bradley Whitford, as the parents of Scotty, Kenna's boyfriend who died in the car crash, were okay in most cases, but probably more so just because they didn't have a ton of screen time and seemed to just be presented as the antagonists for the lovers to have a challenge to overcome. But obviously later on, they're fine. Aside from the two leads, I think the standouts in this movie are Lainey Wilson, who plays Amy, the co-worker who looks out for Kenna at her supermarket job, and Monica Myers, who plays Lady Diana, Kenna's neighbor, and Nicholas Duvernay and Hilary Jardine, who play Roman and Marianne, Ledger's co-workers, maybe employees, since they mention he's the owner. These characters really infuse this movie with some humorous and lighthearted moments, which are so well performed that it kind of allows you to forget how ridiculous the story at the center of this movie is. I don't think there's anything standout about the design elements, aside from the fact that the set and costume did convey a sense of small town USA, especially with the sparse homes and businesses connected by long dirt roads that they always had Kenna walking down, apparently.
You should get a bicycle, man.
Exactly, yeah. They could have at least given her a bike. If you're a Colleen Hoover fan, I assume you'll probably see it. But I think if you're on the fence and someone who has had a similar opinion of Colleen Hoover adaptations, but otherwise isn't opposed to seeing a pretty decent romance and at times romantic comedy, this might be worth your time. Otherwise, maybe just pass on it if you have options that might interest you more, since I don't feel like this is a movie that is in any way being presented as a first choice option for most moviegoers. Going into the rating, give it a 3.5 for enjoyment and a 3 for quality. Overall, I thought this movie was going to be way worse than the actual experience. While I don't think this is going to be a favorite of mine, I definitely feel like it delivered above what was expected based on both the trailer and previous Colleen Hoover adaptations. My higher than average enjoyment rating is purely based on the acting from the leads as well as the humorous moments with the supporting cast. Supporting cast specifically, I felt did some heavy lifting in this movie, so I give them equal praise as our two leads. Quality, for the most part, was right in the middle for me. Nothing especially notable, good or bad, but as I mentioned, for enjoyment, the two leads and most of the supporting cast really delivered above what I was expecting, so I gave it a slight bump to 3. No recommendations related to this, but I really, really, really hope that Tyreek Withers gets asked to be guest host on Saturday Night Live sometime soon, so they can hopefully do a crossover parody between this movie and the other movie that Tyreek Withers is in with Marlon Wayans, Him. I mean, they literally could call it Reminders of Him, with the him stylized in blood like it was for that movie.
I love it. Yeah, Tyreek Withers is great. I've really liked him in everything I've seen him in. He was like one of the major highlights of the I Know What You Did Last Summer movie. And yeah, I'm excited to see what he does next.
What's that YouTube series that we saw him in?
Oh, yes. Brittany Broski's Royal Court.
Yeah. I didn't realize he was so funny until I saw him on that with her.
He was fantastic. And I mean, Brittany Broski is so funny, but I love that series in particular. She does some
but
awesome
she was hilarious in that one. And I was not expecting him to be nowhere near as funny as he ended up being. Holy shit.
Kind of nuttier than I expected.
Yeah, he really is.
Yeah.
It's great.
It's kind of exciting to see younger actors and be like, oh, I wonder what they're going to do next.
Yeah, it's cool. Whatever, man.
Yeah. So for this movie, I gave it a 3.5 for enjoyment for honestly similar reasons as you. There's nothing better than going into a movie and having it pleasantly surprise you, having it be more than you expected. For me, when I realized it was going to be better than I thought it was when they handled that Diana character so beautifully. And then just the relationship they had between the two of them. It felt almost like it succeeded in spite of some of the source material conventions. I haven't read the book, so I'm not saying they're bad or anything, but romance is a genre like anything else that has its standard setups. But I thought it did a really great job with those. Super effective. I would watch it again if it was on TV, maybe. For quality, I gave it a 3. It's sort of balancing it out. The setup, again, like you said, that like first quarter to a third of the movie, it's a little.
Yeah, you're still asking yourself, what is this going to end up being like?
I was, like,
are you
nervous.
headed for disaster?
Yeah. I was like guarding myself, you know? But
Exactly.
once you get into seeing these actors really cook, it just settles in and,
Yeah.
you know, you're in good hands.
And I think we need to also remember that the directors change for these adaptations. So we shouldn't always expect that just because it's a
Of
Colleen Hoover
course,
thing
yeah.
that we're going to get the exact same thing. Because I do think that even the last one was better than the one before.
Yeah, I think it's
Blake
the best.
Lively.
I think we've seen like 2 or 3 Colleen
I
Hoover.
background watched the one with Blake Lively.
Oh, yeah.
Because every time I kind of stop to watch it, I'm like, oh man, this is really melodramatic. And like,
Yeah.
they're just trying to create people who are horrible so they have an excuse
Right.
to do things against them. And
Yeah.
then I have a story for it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think this was just beautifully handled. You
Mhm.
know, I think they did a great job with the source material. So,
Mhm.
yeah, reminders of him. So, what do we got going over in the TV side of things, Sush?
Well, Monarch. We start the episode with a flashback storyline in 1957, picking up as Keiko and Shaw have encountered Titan X as it arrives on the shore of Santa Soledad, southern Chile. Titan X has a red neon glow, and it doesn't look happy, thrashing about.
Mhm.
But soon we see that it's only there to meet the swarm of scarabs. Once
Yeah.
it does, the red glow turns to a cold blue, and we see the softer side of the Titan communicating and seemingly protecting the scarabs. Keiko takes a few pictures of them and remarks on how disappointed Billy will be that he missed it, but Shaw seems a bit confused given their brush with death earlier, and now seeing the townspeople appearing from their homes, approaching them. Lee, realizing that he's lost his gun, attempts to sneak himself and Keiko through town to safety, but they're soon confronted by the angry townspeople. Lucia approaches them, asking for the camera, but Keiko refuses. Eventually, one of the townspeople loses their patience and slashes Keiko's arm with a knife. Shaw attacks and gets stabbed himself before managing to take the man hostage with his knife to the neck, eventually allowing him and Keiko to run away. As the townspeople pursue Keiko and Shaw through the forest, Shaw decides to create a distraction that he hopes will end their pursuit by taking the film, but leaving Keiko's camera for them to find, which seems to work. One of the townspeople senses the two of them hidden nearby, but luckily Lucia convinces him to leave with the rest of the townspeople. Later, we see the two in a rainstorm as Shaw spots a cabin and tells Keiko they can take cover inside so he can dress her wound. As he's bandaging her up, Keiko tries to confront him over the kiss that they shared earlier during the dance, but Shaw obviously isn't interested, ending the conversation by saying that she's with Billy and it was just the wine. Keiko wakes up in the cabin after some rest while Shaw stayed up to keep watch. She fusses over his wound, but their individual stubbornness drives them to get into an argument, an admission from Shaw that he can't leave her, and eventually them making love.
Mm.
The following morning, as Keiko and Shaw are heading through the forest towards the shore to reunite with Billy, she feels the need to address what has happened. Shaw, once again misinterpreting her question, thinks she means their encounter with the Titan, while she means the feelings and that situation between them. That doesn't happen, however, as Billy spots them and rushes toward Keiko, profusely apologizing for leaving without her. Billy seems really concerned over what he presumes could have happened to her, leaving her with the townspeople and the Titan, but we can tell as her and Shaw exchange glances that her mind's elsewhere. Later, we see Shaw's living alone in Washington, D.C., presumably still working for Monarch. As he looks over documents from them, someone slips a letter through his mail slot, which ends up being a letter from Keiko confessing her love to him, but that Billy has her heart and they can't be together or let Billy know what happened between them or destroy the man she loves, their closest friend. Obviously, Shaw doesn't handle this well as he starts drinking in response. We jump forward to 1962, where we see a young Hiroshi searching in a chest. Billy finds him, and Hiroshi tells him he was hoping he could find something Uncle Lee left he could use to sharpen his knife, and says he misses him, to which Bill responds he misses them both. Bill offers to clean up after him, and after Hiroshi leaves, Bill spots the letter Keiko dropped off for Shaw, picking it up as the episode ends. And then in the modern day storyline, which starts immediately following the opening credits of the episode, where we see Outpost 18 docked at the port of Tokyo. Kate and Cora, who we also know as May, but I'll be referring to her by her real name Cora from now on, share a moment on the ship with Kate wanting to leave over concerns that she's just making the situation worse, still blaming herself for pressing the button that led to Titan X being able to come to Earth. But it seems like Cora wishes Kate realized that she means so much more to others than the mistakes she can't seem to look past. In the conference room, Tim is meeting with Keiko, Shaw, Hiroshi, and Kentaro to update them on the situation. Given it's been 3 years since G-Day, and this is the first since then they've had to deal with a Titan potentially threatening the human population. Tim remarks that they can't hide Titan X, but Keiko and Hiroshi seem to believe otherwise, or at least that they believe they can redirect it. Hiroshi suggests using the Suzuki device used to lure Godzilla in the first season, but Kentaro reminds him that Kong destroyed it on Skull Island. Luckily, Hiroshi mentions still having a prototype stashed away in his Tokyo workshop, foreshadowing their next destination. Tim gets called into the command center. He's met by Jason Trissop, head of special projects at Apex Cybernetics, who looks like he's taken over as we see Apex employees hauling in cases of their own tech, connecting to the network, and Apex logos appear on the display panels in command. Tim assumes Trissop is there to support Monarch, but apparently he didn't get the memo that they're taking over, at least temporarily. Tim, in disbelief, contacts Director Barris, who confirms the situation. While Tim might have prioritized saving the lives of those on the ships, others are more concerned with him losing track of Titan X. Barris forces him to not only turn in Shaw, but also Keiko and support Apex, seeing as they're providing them with the technology necessary to find Titan X. The good news is Tim doesn't comply, instead choosing to inform Keiko and Shaw the situation and giving them a brief introduction on Apex Cybernetics before helping them sneak off Outpost 18 to Tokyo. In Shibuya, Tokyo, we see our team of Keiko, Shaw, Hiroshi, and Kentaro try to avoid CCTV cameras by blending in with the crowds in Shibuya Crossing as they spot wanted alerts for themselves in the huge LED displays overlooking the intersection. They make it to Hiroshi's workshop, but they need to modify the device in order to make it meet their needs. Needing to speed things up with Monarch now on their trail, the team splits up with Hiroshi and Kentaro, leaving to find necessary components. As Keiko and Shaw leave to retrieve wiring diagrams from Hiroshi's office they'll need to reference for the modification. Elsewhere in Tokyo, we see Tim joining Cora, who's having a bite to eat as he thanks her for agreeing to meet. Tim beats around the bush a bit before Cora asks him to just come out and reveal why he wanted to meet with her. He believes Apex is up to something and wants her to be a mole, asking Brenda for a role at Apex, which Cora agrees to, and will probably be a simple ask, seeing as she believes that she has something that Brenda wants. Cora travels to the Apex offices in Pensacola, Florida to meet with Brenda, who initially seems apprehensive, but eventually Cora implies she still has the code that she worked on at Apex, as when Brenda brings it up, she corrects her, saying that it was only destroyed at Apex, implying that they still had it from Monarch. Soon after, we see Cora at Apex searching through the restricted data, only to find that they've been spying on her and the Randas since the beginning. Kate arrives home in San Francisco, surprising Carolyn, who begins crying as she welcomes her daughter home with a big hug. James, Caroline's partner, and her start asking Kate about her adventures, but Kate seems detached. Caroline seems concerned, and as Kate seems to still be processing everything that's happened, reminds her that whatever happened to her is now over and in the past, But unfortunately, Kate, having gone through what she has and believing what she does, may not find those words comforting. She tries to reunite with some teacher friends, but as she pulls up in a cab to meet with them, she has a change of heart and instead decides to head to a club to get wasted and party as an escape from everything that's happened. Unfortunately, she can't. And when there's a Monarch alert for a Titan spotting, we find she's still stuck on blaming herself for Titan X escaping to Earth as she pushes away her date, who just wanted to lead her to safety. In Hiroshi's office, Keiko sees family photos of him with both Kate and Kentaro, realizing and asking Shaw if they had different mothers. He confirms it, but Kate seems really bothered by it, asking Shaw if he understands the situation. He legitimately doesn't have any insight and tells her that's something she needs to speak with Hiroshi about, with her realizing the parallels to her own life, remarking, I guess we all have our secrets. Hiroshi and Kentaro meet up with Shaw and Keiko at an intersection, with Shaw soon recommending that they split up and ask Kentaro to go with him, leaving Hiroshi alone with Keiko. Keiko tries, but we soon find is unable to keep herself from questioning him over the recent discovery, as Hiroshi seems a bit defensive about his past, abruptly ending the conversation, saying she wouldn't understand, though we know, based on what's happened between her and Shaw in the flashback storyline, that this isn't true. The four of them return to Hiroshi's workshop, only to find out that Apex has trashed it and taken his prototype. As Hiroshi walks out of his workshop frustrated, Keiko tries to calm him down and eventually mentions seeking help from Monarch. This not only frustrates Hiroshi, but eventually leads to the reveal that Bill left him when he was only 11 years old. We see Kate walking past an area of San Francisco fenced off after the events of G-Day, covered with notes and pictures of loved ones that has turned into a memorial of sorts as she relives her own encounter with Godzilla. She sneaks through the fence, eventually standing up to face the broken bridge it took place on as she fights the tears she's held back for so long. And that's the episode. Ashley, what'd you think?
Wow. Well, I mean, so this episode leans heavy on the legacy, light on the monsters. We got some cool insights into our lead characters, their relationships to each other, and I'm into it. I thought it was very cool. We really get a sense of how dedicated Keiko and the people of her family are. In the flashback sequence, we see how Keiko, high on mystery drugs, faced with an entire town of angry villagers, will do nothing to back down. She will not give them her camera. She is willing to risk her life for a couple photos. That's incredibly powerful. That's how important it is to her. And I think it's cool in the story. It's not framed as reckless. It's framed as purpose. And you start to realize that kind of mindset, that obsession, it obviously doesn't end with her, because we see how it runs through her entire family,
Yeah, I guess that's true in different kinds of ways. Like even Kate is obsessive to a different point, like just in her feelings and how she's potentially caused the situation to become even worse. Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, it's almost like a higher power thing to this family. It's really like the central organizing factor in their life. And then in the present day, we see Kate being back in California, and it's kind of uncomfortable. You see how wrong, quote, normal life is to her. I was really fascinated by the scene with her mom and her mom's partner. Her mom clearly gets that Kate's been through something serious, but both her and her partner are pushing her with this, like, everything's fine, move on energy, very toxic positivity, but also just like they don't get how important this is to them. And I really like the writing on this show. One of my favorite lines this episode is when the moms tells Kate, it's all in the past. And I'm like, wait a minute. It's not all in the past. I know this because literally half of every episode is the past. And the vision, I think, of the creators is about how the past informs the present. It's constantly bleeding in the things that they learned in the past, the emotions they had, the way some of their tendencies, like dang, apparently Keiko passed on her loving two people
I know.
gene. All of that is very present. And then you've got the Hiroshi revealing to Keiko that, yeah, he had two separate families that he kept a secret. And it's really messy, the whole double life thing. And what I like is, again, the show doesn't portray what he did as a betrayal. They portray it in a more nuanced way. And also, it's interesting because you can tell Hiroshi's nervous to tell his mother. When she finds out, he expects this judgment. But instead, you see complicated feelings. And then, of course, we go on to learn why.
Right.
So, yeah, that was really the big theme that I saw in this episode, that like past is present and that sort of obsession the family has. And then just totally aside from those themes, I like the idea of Tim recruiting Cora as a mole. I'm into it. And I feel like that storyline feels like it's going to sort of pop off, going to be something interesting. But I like that we're getting a little more emotional depth so that when things start going nuts, we're going to be really invested in these people.
Cool.
Yeah. What'd you think?
Well, the first thing I really want to mention is that this episode again reinforced to me how much of the show just expects you to remember things from before. And it's kind of unapologetic about it. Specifically, how they reintroduced the Suzuki device from season 1 into this episode when trying to figure out how to deal with Titan X. And then when Cora is acting as a mole for Monarch and she meets with Brenda at Apex by leveraging the fact that she apparently still has the code she developed for them from her time there. While she did destroy it on her end, apparently the data they collected from Monarch wasn't. So, yeah, I think I really have to go back and both watch the last season and maybe some of the Monsterverse movies surrounding these timelines. Since I feel like we've gradually referenced the previous season more and more. So I assume I might need to remember other things in the upcoming episodes too. I like that we get a brief conversation between Hiroshi and Kentaro where it's really apparent how deeply Hiroshi cares for Kate, even with the decisions he's made that might seem otherwise. I don't think it's wrong for Kentaro to feel like he does and allow Kate her space. But I do think it's really telling that Hiroshi responds to his attitude toward it by seemingly suggesting that they need to do better than that for her as her family.
Yeah.
But man, Keiko kind of messed up having this love triangle. But obviously, I think Bill is kind of more responsible for all the messed up stuff that's happened since. I'm glad we finally got this reveal, not only because I know we've discussed wanting to know how the Bill played by Anders becomes the Bill played by John Goodman.
Right.
As far as perceived differences between their personalities. But because we also mentioned how likable Anders has been in this role. I think having this letter potentially being the cause behind him leaving Hiroshi at 11, while inexcusable, obviously, really makes sense given what Keiko said to Shaw in the letter. Yeah, because it likely hurt him more than anything he's ever had to face before, you know, because these people are the two who are closest to him that are keeping this from him.
Yeah, that's got to be really devastating.
Yeah, especially still taking care of her child.
Yeah. And mourning her and missing her. Yeah.
I think having Cora spy on Apex after she already took them down for the project she contributed code to was kind of funny.
Yeah.
And I'd be really surprised if Brenda wasn't at least somewhat suspicious, Cora wanting to work with them. It just seemed too easy for Cora to find out Apex has been keeping tabs on her and the Randas. And while I think she's smart enough to hack into a system or something, I don't believe she's smart enough to cover up, given that I'm sure Apex has crazy security and should probably be going up against some of their best security-minded talent. Let's keep in mind here that they do mention that like Apex is the tech. They're not in any way actually knowledgeable about Titans. They literally are just the tech company that is trying to use technology to deal with this thing. Yeah. I wonder what Apex's play is by stealing the Suzuki device prototype from Hiroshi's workshop and moreover, spying on Cora and the Randas for so long. Given that it seems like the governments that oversee Monarch don't seem to be happy with the Titan X situation, and they now have a Suzuki device of their own that they can potentially use, I think they might even try to leverage it by putting on a demonstration of how they can control Titans, which could potentially result in them being preferred over Monarch when the world has to deal with Titans. Unfortunately, as we know from the movies and them being the ones that created Mechagodzilla, it's probably not good to entrust the protection of the people of Earth to them. But hey, at least we know it's probably not going to be a short-lived conflict because they called Cliff Curtis in to join the cast.
Hell yeah. Love Cliff Curtis.
Yeah. I'm definitely feeling more satisfied with the season after this episode.
Good.
Yeah. While I mentioned during our discussion of the last episode that I didn't know what direction things were going in story-wise, I think it's at least somewhat clear now that for the flashback storyline, we'll probably be filling in more of what happened during and following the years Bill, Keiko, and Shaw first encountered Titan X and everything with Bill leaving Hiroshi after finding the letter, while the modern day storyline will likely continue to deal with Apex attempting to take over as the organization entrusted by the world's governments with overseeing and responding to Titan activity on Earth.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to next week.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh.
Ashley.
Sushi.
Yeah. What are we watching next?
Well, we're going to be watching the movie films Project Hail Mary and Ready or Not 2, Here I Come.
Colons. And for TV, obviously, more Monarch Legacy of Monsters.
Oh,
with,
yeah.
Episode 4. And the second season premiere of Daredevil Born Again.
Ooh. I hope it isn't emotionally devastating like the season 1 premiere.
Oh, it's Daredevil. It will be emotionally devastating.
Yeah, true. Join us next week for the devastation. Thank you so much for listening, guys. We really appreciate you taking the time, hanging out with us this week. We hope you'll join next week for the pod.
Yeah, and make sure to subscribe, rate, and review positively, man, because like thumbs up and things like that. But yeah, follow us on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and yeah, thank you to everybody, and we will catch you guys next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Movies and delights will share so much. Let's enjoy this side.